Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Monday
is a big day. It's Mom's birthday today. Happy birthday, Mom. I love texting with my mom because we've been doing it for years, obviously, but she got to the texting game a little bit late. I had been texting for a while before we started to do that back and forth, and she approaches text messages with ultimate efficiency. Like cold, short, direct, nothing like talking to her in person. That's what tickles me, is she's so funny and like sweet and thoughtful, and then in text messages, you'd think that she just doesn't like you and that, she can't wait to get away from you. So when I asked if anyone would be around at home at her place for a delivery this weekend, I got back, yes. I mean, like literally, yes, period. Of course, that all fell by the wayside when the delivery of some delicious birthday cupcakes arrived. I got a wow and a yay and a look what came. I even got 2 exclamation points side by side. I think it's a breakthrough.
It's time for Cruz Music News with Steve Reeve.
The upcoming series of 4 biopics about the Fab Four, aka the Beatles, from Sam Mendes, doesn't come out for a while. April of 2028. However, while we will be hearing much about it for the next couple of years, we aren't going to be hearing anything directly from Patty Boyd, represented in the films. And that is a woman who will be played by Amy Lou Wood on screen and was connected with George Harrison in real life. She says in a recent podcast appearance that nobody came to her to ask her about her really great stories. She adds, I don't think they want to know. I think they want to create something that's completely different. That is my experience with most of biopics, but also Paul McCartney's been very busy lately, and he not only shut down the lights at the Ed Sullivan Theatre following the end of Colbert's The Late Show run, which is very cool because that is back in 1964 where the Beatles had their first televised appearance during the British invasion. But he also helped to close out the season of 51 for Saturday Night Live, and they have now shared some extra performances. Post-credits of Help, Drive My Car, Will Ferrell on Cowbell. You gotta watch. Sad news to end off on, though. Rapper Rob Bass, who is, of course, from the infamous song It Takes Two, alongside DJ Easy Rock, has died. Rob was 59 years old. That's it for your music news today. I'm Steve Reeve. So I guess we'll be doing a vote on whether to keep on trucking or become a smallish, unstable, landlocked nation with oil reserves. And, that's historically always been a great and safe position to be in. But the latest is that there's now a mandate, apparently, from 700,000 Albertans, between the 2 big petitions, that we need to do this referendum thing in October. Which is big news, because it means that Smith actually has heard about the Forever Canada petition. First time she's mentioned it. According to that schedule, we'll know about the results of the October referendum by about April 2027.
Tuesday.
It's serious when your atheist friend is quoting the Pope to you about AI. Like specifically Pope Leo has just released a manifesto, aka like an open letter, but from the Vatican. And in it, he calls for us all to be profoundly human in the time of artificial intelligence. Yeah, you can read the whole thing online if you're curious. But in essence, it's a call for caution. It does make some sense. It's not an outright dunk on all things AI, throw it all out the window. No, it's a little bit more thoughtful than that. It makes sense. But still, the atheist friend sharing the Pope tickles me because it feels like an outright, but light sign of the apocalypse.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Rivers Cuomo of Weezer has put out a playlist of 15 cover songs from the archive, and fans are speculating that it may have been a mistake. The frontman put out a series called Random Covers, all spelled wrong, on YouTube. And some people are speculating, was that an accidental public posting? Was it supposed to be private, unlisted? It includes covers of songs from Michael Jackson, Post Malone, Quavo, Radiohead, Nirvana, like you name it. It's on there. There's crazy songs. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan. Also, Geddy Lee in the news saying that Rush and Tom Sawyer have had a little bit of a tumultuous history. In fact, it's one of their most famous songs, an instantly recognizable one, everybody around the world hears that and goes, oh, yeah, well, it's Tom Sawyer, it's Rush. But The song that came out on the 1981 record Moving Pictures was one that Geddy Lee did not want to be on there. In a recent interview online with Rick Beato, he says, "It was a difficult song to make and mix. Every step of the recording was beset with problems, and at the end I was so sick of that bleeping song, I didn't want to put it on the record. So can you imagine how dumb that was? Let's not put our most popular song on the record." He doesn't understand why it resonated with the fans, but he understands it absolutely did, and is grateful for it, of course. And elsewise in the news, if you were curious about grabbing a piece of Nirvana iconography, a t-shirt famously worn by Kurt Cobain, featuring imagery from the Foxes movie, 1980 film starring Jodie Foster. This is one that was captured in an iconic photo shoot in 1993. They still use images from that session for the marketing and promotion of the band. The t-shirt itself gifted to the drummer of Hole, Paddy Schemmel, and they are who are putting it up for auction. Julian's auction, estimated to fetch up to £8,000. Yeah, I think it'll go for a little more than that than when the auction ends. That's it for music news today. I'm Steve Reeve.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
Obsession is the new obsession, and this is the appropriate response when someone says that they won't go see it with you.
No.
What?
No, 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 don't do it!
I thought we were having a nice time. The attention-grabbing horror from YouTube and TikTok personality Curry Barker just hit record-breaking status. So the film that cost $750,000 made $1 million opening weekend, like a ton of money, or like $100 million opening weekend, and then the real word-of-mouth hit. It had the biggest second-week increase for any wide-release movie this side of the year 2000. So it kind of makes you wonder if someone making the movie might have made, like a wish along the way.
Please wish responsibly. Wishes may cause unexpected behavior, violent tendencies, and self-mutilation. Do not use if you're experiencing insecurity or extreme obsession.
Absolutely worth seeing. Much like I would say Weapons before it, it's kind of like for horror lovers or not, a cultural moment at the movie theater, and definitely worth checking out. Performance from Indy Navarrete, incredible. Go check it out if you haven't. Canada is getting their hands on 10 new firefighting aircraft for the 2026 wildfire season. Air tankers, heavy lift helicopters, bird dogs, and other supports are going to be available across the country where they're needed most, and, being pre-positioned closest to where they're anticipated to be needed most. We're actually leasing the aircraft as a country instead of buying them outright. A move that honestly does make sense, as it allows them to get access now for this year instead of waiting 3 to 5 years for the new assets. Plus, it also came with 40 free meals with HelloFresh for new subscribers.
Wednesday.
You try to keep your body in shape. You try to keep your mind in shape. And now you can do both and punch people. I'm just learning about chess boxing, combining all the brain-wrinkling challenge of speed chess with all of the fist meets face of boxing. I mean, simple as that. Like, that's kind of it. I'm sure there's, some detailed nuance, some rule sets that are involved, but that's really what you need to know. And it is picking up popularity in New York City, with contestants in just for fun competitions showing up to work on Monday looking like Ed Norton in Fight Club. Remember when The Queen's Gambit took the world by storm? Like the Netflix show, Anya Taylor-Joy had people pulling out, dusting off their chessboards all over the place. I think we finally cooked up a follow-up. She should be sized for some boxing gloves by the end of the week. The Foo Fighters are echoing Nirvana over 30 years later, as they just covered Jesus Wants Me for a Sunbeam by the Vaselines at Bottle Rock Festival. Now, why is that significant? Well, Nirvana, back in 1994, made that song very, very popular, as it was on the MTV Unplugged in New York album, and that posthumous release after the death of Kurt Cobain really put it on the stage. One of my favorite albums. It's on the shelf with a place of pride, and very interesting to see that the Foo Fighters are kind of digging up that era just a tiny bit, flashing back. And Tom York and Flea were on stage together in London at the gig Coco. They were covering not just Marvin Gaye's Got to Give It Up, but playing a song they put together. The Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist, Flea, he put out his debut album, Honora, earlier in the year, and on that album there's a track called Traffic Lights, written alongside Tom York as well as Josh Johnson. But the two that were on stage, no strangers to each other beyond that, as well as they, of course, used to play in a band together called Atoms for Peace. Metallica. They are wrapping up the European leg of the M72 World Tour, and they are teaming up with services in the UK to encourage fans to give what is deep within themselves, their blood. They say they're asking fans to step up and be part of something bigger than the show. Of course, it's an noble thing. Blood is very much needed. Give me fuel, give me fire, give the blood that we desire. That's it for your music news today. I'm Steve Reeve. There was an attack, a strike on my significant other, my fiance, when she was trying to get to work today. She texted me in the morning, just out of nowhere. I mean, we were already talking just a little bit, but then all caps comes out of nowhere. A bug was just on me and biting me, and I squished it, and it stinks. And immediately brain goes, well, maybe like stink bug. I don't know. She says it smells so bleeping bad. What the bleep? She said, I don't know if it was actually biting, but she felt a little sting, and then instinct took over. She smacked it, and immediately bad smell. And I'm thinking, like, what was that? Unfortunately, entomologists who might be listening, I've got nothing else for you. No other identifiers. Didn't really get, like, a good look at it, apparently. No colors. Just the distinct scent hitting her nose. I've never had an experience like that before. I don't know if I've ever really smelled a stink bug, if that was what it was. I mean, I literally searching up, like, insects of Alberta, stink bugs, bites. They don't really bite people. They just bite plants. So I don't know what it was. We're at a loss. What attacked my fiance this morning? We may never know. But I'm going to make fun of her for smelling bad later on. I can guarantee you that.
Thursday.
Children can be merciless. A study into how, kids see the older people in their lives catching some attention because, well, first of all, they asked them to make drawings and then give descriptions. And these drawings and these descriptions from a pile of 10-year-olds about the terrifically old people they know are illuminating. Very often they're talking about like their grandparents. Many drew small, hunched-over figures with glasses and canes. Others were drawn in bed beside dentures in glasses. And then one kid even drew like a person with green skin and scales, looking like a member of the undead. Oh, thanks. One kid even said they're always sick. They walk with their canes. Their hands tremble. They can't walk fast. They stay home all the time, take lots of pills, get tired easily, and sleep early. You watch it. All right, now you careful now, kid. That's going to start sooner than you even know. But for some good news, though it was unsurprising that the younger generations had younger ages in mind for when people do get old, the age starts on the younger end at 62 years, not like 30, like all the movies in the 90s that I watched implied.
Thanks for listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
The rumors of Barry Gibb's death have been greatly exaggerated. The boomers have been fooled by a page on Facebook simply titled R.I.P. Barry Gibb. It popped up over the weekend, quickly gathering almost 1 million likes just about instantaneously, prompting, of course, Barry Gibb, the icon of the Bee Gees, of the Brothers Gibb and his team, to confirm that he is just fine. 79 years old, and certainly not the first to be targeted in a death hoax for celebrity, but he's fine. He's kicking. He's doing just fine. We've got a big festival from Tom Morello on the calendar now. I mean, nowhere near here. Would be nice to go and check it out. But the Power to the People Festival happening in October is getting a big list of people. Foo Fighters, Bruce Springsteen, Serge Tankian, Jack Black, and more. We've got Dropkick Murphys, Dave Matthews. You got Taylor Momsen of the Pretty Reckless. Just a ton of others that are going to be part of the event that is going down, as I said, October 3rd in Columbia, MD. No word about any live stream, but that would be pretty sweet for those of us who just cannot make it. A much maligned festival event down in the United States has already got people dropping off of the bill. The Freedumb 250 Great American State Fair has got a whole bunch of people that were announced for the events, and two major ones have already dropped out. That would be Morris Day and the Mother Bleepin' Time. They say that they will, contrary to rumor, not be performing at the Great American State Fair, saying, "It's a no for me," directly from Morris Day. And then Young MC is also dropping out, saying that he's informed his agents it's not going to happen, and also added the artists were never told about any political involvement with the event, and despite the claims by organizers that the event is nonpartisan, Spin Magazine describes it as Trump-backed. "I hope to perform in D.C. in the near future at an event that is not so politically charged." We'll see if the other names stick to the bill or if they even sell a single ticket. Yeah, it's probably going the way of Kid Rock's tour. It's about the end of your music news today. I'm Steve Reeve. Thanks for listening. NASA in the news again. Yes, they've been getting a lot of attention lately with all the Artemis missions and plans to actually get feet on the moon once again. Not just an unmanned visit or a sweep around the moon observing from a distance. No, boots on ground, all right? Boots on low gravity ground. But they've now announced, as of a big meeting, a big session on Tuesday this week, that they are making plans, very real plans, not just to get boots on the ground, but to build a base on the moon. And, they're recruiting right now for those contracts.
You've all been chosen to be part of my elite moon unit, which is divided into two divisions, Moon Unit Alpha and Moon Unit Zappa.
And they are, of course, not giving an exact timeline of when that will be completed, but they have given timelines as to the first 3 missions that will take place, targeted for 2026, to establish things and to deliver various items and required materials for building said moon base. It's very futuristic, it's very sci-fi, and maybe it's something we'll be able to actually see in our lifetime. They've also got the Moonfall project that at first made me think about that horrible movie, but no, it's actually about using drones from the surface of the moon to explore further out from the moon base without needing boots on the ground. They can do it all with, radio signals and things like that, lasers, just like Dr. Evil was trying to shoot back down at Earth. I don't know if they're doing that, but this is a big and lofty idea. First time it's ever really been considered as a real possibility in human history.
Friday.
Is hard Fresca the drink of the summer? Like, Fresca. That Fresca. I have my doubts. Since 1966, the Coca-Cola Bottling Company has been producing the sugar-free grapefruit-flavored soft drink Fresca. And since 1966, people have been drinking it for some reason that I cannot figure out. It's disgusting to me. But nothing personal. All grapefruit flavored anything is gross to me, but apparently Fresca is cool now? Like, I thought we all agreed on that it was like your grandparents' drink.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
I didn't even know that they dropped new flavors of Fresca forever ago. I'm not up on my Fresca lore. I'm learning, though. I'm trying to learn. Trying to bridge the gap. I have discovered that Fresca is now debuting in 2026 a new alcoholic line of the zero sugar syrup water, a malt beverage. It comes in classic grapefruit grossness, but also pineapple citrus, watermelon citrus, and the apparently standout peach citrus Fresca Hard. And those all do sound very summery, delicious, sweet flavors. I really should try it before I knock it, but with so many other options available, I think to hard Fresca, I am going to have to go with a hard pass. We are going to discuss the Freedumb 250 State Fair business and how it is crumbling as its own standalone discussion just a little bit later on the show. We will get to it. But first, Jack White and his very first public art exhibition, now live in London and lasting until September, just in case you happen to be across the pond. But the exhibition titled These Thoughts May Disappear is something Jack White is describing as a side of him people don't know. And he actually worked as an upholsterer as a teenager, apparently, and there are pieces of furniture that are part of the exhibit, as well as a lot of yellow and red and white coloration, which are absolutely the colors that have followed the iconography of Jack White, as well as the White Stripes. Tegan and Sarah from Calgary are showing up in a Simpsons episode a little bit later this summer. We don't know much, but in addition to them, some other artists and famous people have been announced. There's going to be 3 new episodes exclusive for Disney Plus, only on the streaming service, and it's going to be showing up in June, July, and in August. But, again, that's about all we know so far. We'll have to wait to see those Calgary artists on the small screen. And Roger Daltrey, in a discussion with Rolling Stone magazine, is now saying, "We were the first heavy metal band," saying that The Who paved the way for the genre and that people don't really know who The Who were from the early 60s. He even quotes Deep Purple drummer Ian Pace, "The Who started it all." He says, "We were the first heavy metal band." And, while they do deserve their flowers, and I do love me some Who, of course, you've also got to give some credit to Black Sabbath and some other artists from the UK at that time for being heavily influential. And it's really hard to not count the whole entire rock and roll transformation of the music world that came from the influences from Africa as they entered into American culture in the 1950s. Nothing to do with The Who, I'm afraid. But still, they do deserve those flowers. That's it for your music news today. I'm Steve Reeve.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
This Freedom 250 Great American State Fair thing is literally crumbling into dust within 48 hours of the musical lineup being announced for this festival of sorts, which is a real shame, honestly, because marking a big birthday milestone for a country like that should be a big celebration. 250 years, that should be a big time. However, several acts have said that they were sold a line about a nonpartisan event honoring all states, no matter the color, but feel as though they have been bait and switched for an obvious Trumpathon. But going down the lineup, Martina McBride announced, then pulled out. Young MC announced, then pulled out. CNC Music Factory announced, and will still perform, but only rapper Freedumb Williams. And it has been publicly denounced by founding member Robert Cliville, the first C of CNC. He says, yeah, no, nothing to do with us. Continuing on, Vanilla Ice announced, and they are sticking to it. Milli Vanilli announced, but denounced by the actual performing artists who have stake to the name, as, of course, the actual act showing up at it is going to be Fab Morvan, the guy who used to lip-sync the Milli Vanilli songs. That's it. That's all you got. And he is sticking to it. And somehow we're not done yet. The Commodores announced, then pulled out. Morris Day and the Mother Bleepin' Time announced, then pulled out. Brett Michaels of Poison announced, then also pulled out. And finally, Flo Rida announced, and is just staying the course. He's just gonna show up, at least as far as we know now. To borrow a lyric from Mr. Rida, the chances of this festival selling a ton of tickets are low, 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 low. Don't you hate the store you've never heard of before is sadly closing down, so don't miss out on the savings you'll never see again scam? You know, that online scam? I see it all the time, as if there aren't enough greasy pieces of bait on social media for people to take. But this one really bugs me for some reason. I don't know, it gets under my skin. It's this blatant fear of missing out tactic, but it's bullcrap. You know, it's like, you've been with us for so long and we appreciate it. Now we're giving back. You know, I've never heard of you before because you don't exist. You're not a real store. You're an invention to just make a quick buck and then disappear as soon as there's any kind of customer service complaint. The latest one that I saw just in time for Pride was a sob story and a thank you to the supportive community through the years and the meaningful relationship that we've had together through the hardship. You know, it links to a website storefront that has stickers marked down from $91 to $0. Stickers, $91, and they're giving them away for free. You just pay shipping. Bull crap. Everything about it gives maximum ick. And you know what? Honestly, you're probably too smart to get duped by the dopamine hit of a fake bargain scam. But talk to the older people you know who are perpetually on Facebook, who will spend their money on anything online. Please.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.